Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where something just felt off? Maybe someone said one thing, but their body language said something completely different. Or perhaps you've been in a situation where you could tell someone was hiding their true feelings, and you knew exactly how to respond. Understanding body language and gestures is an incredibly powerful skill, and today we're diving into some of the most effective tips to help you read people's minds by reading their body language. We often overlook the non-verbal cues that people send, but those gestures, eye movements, and posture shifts can reveal far more than words alone. Imagine this. You're in a meeting, and a colleague is nodding along while someone else is speaking. They seem engaged, but something about their crossed arms tells you they might be feeling defensive or resistant. By observing these subtle cues, you're not only able to understand what they're thinking, but you can also navigate the conversation in a way that helps you gain their trust and cooperation. In this video, we'll explore 8 transformative lessons on how to accurately read body language and gestures. You'll learn how to observe eye movements to decipher attention and intent, how microexpressions can reveal hidden emotions in split seconds, and why watching for changes in posture can tell you if someone is feeling anxious, confident, or uncertain. These insights will give you the tools you need to connect with others on a deeper level and even regain control in situations where you might otherwise feel uncertain. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the power of body language and how it can unlock the thoughts and emotions of the people around you. You'll be able to use these insights to foster stronger connections, navigate challenges more smoothly, and build trust faster than ever before. So, let's get started on mastering this skill that will completely transform the way you communicate and interact with the world around you. Number 1. Observe eye movements. The eyes reveal more than words ever could. They dart in uncertainty, widen in surprise, and narrow in skepticism. To the untrained observer, these subtle movements go unnoticed, but to one who understands human nature, they speak volumes. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Just as a sharp mind discerns the quality of its own thinking, it also perceives the unspoken language of others. To master one's mind is to master perception, and perception sharpens through observation. When we focus on what people do rather than what they say, we gain clarity, free from deception and misinterpretation. The ability to read intention through observation rather than assumption is one of the most powerful tools in human interaction. Averting the gaze can signal guilt, hesitation, or the burden of an untold truth. Steady eye contact often conveys confidence, sincerity, or even challenge. Quick, fleeting movements betray anxiety, while an unblinking stare can either be a show of dominance or deep contemplation. In daily life, we are bombarded by words, yet it is the silent language of the eyes that often reveals reality. If one learns to truly observe rather than simply see, the world unfolds in ways previously unseen. The Stoics believed in controlling one's reactions to external events, but they also understood the value of understanding others before responding. Just as a philosopher contemplates the deeper nature of life, an observer contemplates the deeper nature of expression. The truth is always present. It is only a matter of whether we choose to recognize it. There is a unique power in pausing before reacting, in watching instead of speaking. The wise do not rush to conclusions, but instead study the details that others ignore. When a person claims certainty, yet their eyes flicker with doubt, it is their gaze, not their words, that tells the truth. When someone insists on honesty, yet cannot meet your eyes, their dishonesty is already laid bare. Understanding the movements of the eyes allows one to navigate personal and professional interactions with greater wisdom. In negotiations, in debates, and even in moments of personal connection, recognizing these non-verbal cues can be the difference between manipulation and clarity. To react impulsively is to be blind. To observe before responding is to see. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, is known not only for his financial acumen, but also for his ability to read people. In high-stakes meetings, he pays close attention to the micro-expressions of those he deals with. While others listen to words, Buffett watches for hesitation, for the quick dart of an eye before a false promise, for the slight narrowing of lids before an exaggeration. He once described how, during an acquisition negotiation, he noticed the CEO of the other company breaking eye contact at key moments. Buffett immediately sensed something was off. Instead of proceeding with the deal, he paused and dug deeper. His instincts proved right. The company's financials were not as they had been presented. By trusting what he observed rather than what was spoken, he avoided a costly mistake. The ability to observe without judgment and to act without assumption is a hallmark of both wisdom and strength. Most people respond to what they hear, allowing themselves to be swayed by persuasive words or emotional appeals. The Stoic, however, understands that truth is often unspoken. To watch the eyes is to see beyond words, beyond facades, and into the reality of human nature. When we master the ability to observe rather than react, we free ourselves from deception, from manipulation, and from the blindness of assumption. The world is full of voices, but wisdom listens to silence. Number 2. Pay attention to micro-expressions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This principle extends beyond speech and action. It also applies to perception. The way we interpret the world determines the decisions we make, and too often we rely on words rather than truth. Words can be manipulated, dressed up to deceive, or crafted to mislead, but the body does not lie. The face, in particular, betrays emotions before the mind has time to conceal them. A fleeting tightening of the lips, a momentary wrinkle in the forehead, a flash of contempt that vanishes in an instant. These micro-expressions are the silent language of truth. To ignore them is to live in illusion. To notice them is to understand reality. It is a mistake to assume that people always say what they mean. Politeness masks resentment, enthusiasm hides uncertainty, and agreement often conceals opposition. The wise man does not simply listen to words, but observes the entire person. In a negotiation, in an interview, or even in casual conversation, those who are attuned to micro-expressions can glimpse what is truly being felt. A forced smile that fades too quickly reveals discomfort. Raised eyebrows combined with a slight head tilt suggest skepticism. Even a brief, involuntary flash of fear before a confident statement can signal deception. The Stoics believed in maintaining control over one's own emotions, but they also understood the value of recognizing them in others. To see beyond the surface is to navigate the world with greater clarity. In 2002, during a high-profile press conference, a well-known corporate executive assured investors that his company was financially stable. He spoke with conviction, his words carefully chosen to inspire confidence. But for a brief second, before answering a key question about the company's earnings, he pursed his lips and tightened his jaw. This micro-expression, a classic sign of stress and uncertainty, went unnoticed by most. However, a few experienced observers saw the inconsistency between his words and his facial expression. Within months, it was revealed that the company had been engaging in fraudulent accounting practices, leading to one of the biggest corporate scandals in history. The truth had been there all along, not in what was said, but in what was subtly expressed. To pay attention to microexpressions is not to assume deception in every interaction, but to sharpen one's awareness. The world is filled with distractions, and most people focus only on what is immediately obvious. But the Stoic trains himself to look deeper, to notice the flicker of an emotion before it is concealed, to read the truth behind an insincere apology, or to recognize hesitation behind a false promise. This awareness does not make one cynical, it makes one prepared. Just as a seasoned traveler recognizes hidden dangers on a road, a keen observer detects hidden motives in a conversation. The ability to read micro-expressions is not about controlling others, but about controlling one's own response to reality. There is power in understanding human nature at its most unguarded moments. To be misled is to give away one's power. To see clearly is to remain in control. The Stoic does not react to surface-level emotions, nor does he accept words at face value. He observes, he processes, and he responds with wisdom. In doing so, he is never caught off guard, never easily deceived, and never at the mercy of those who rely on illusion to manipulate. He understands that the truth is often fleeting, appearing for just a fraction of a second, and that to catch it is to possess an advantage most never realize exists. Number 3. Watch for changes in posture. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea extends beyond emotions and decisions. It also applies to observation. The way a person moves, shifts, or holds themselves reveals a wealth of unspoken truths. While words can be controlled and expressions can be masked, the body often betrays what the mind tries to suppress. A slight hunch of the shoulders may indicate doubt, a sudden stiffening may signal defensiveness, and a subtle lean away can reveal discomfort. Those who train themselves to notice these shifts gain insight into what is truly being felt beneath the surface. There is an art to reading people, but it is not a mystical skill. It is the result of paying attention. Most individuals listen only to words, unaware of the unintentional signals that accompany them. In a conversation, a confident posture that gradually collapses may indicate a realization of error or insecurity. A person who crosses their arms tightly while insisting they are open-minded is revealing a contradiction between their words and their true feelings. Even the simple act of mirroring another person's stance can indicate agreement, just as an abrupt withdrawal from alignment can suggest tension. The Stoics understood that knowledge is power, and knowing how to read a person's posture is a form of wisdom that many overlook. People often assume that only grand gestures matter, but it is the subtle changes that reveal the most. The shifting of weight from one foot to another, the fidgeting of hands, or the sudden rigidity in one's spine, all of these signal something deeper than what is being said aloud. Fear, aggression, anxiety, or confidence often appear in the way a person carries themselves long before they appear in their words. A Stoic remains observant, not to judge or manipulate, but to better understand the world around him. He does not react hastily to what is spoken, but considers what is unsaid. In this way, he ensures that his response is grounded in reality rather than illusion. In 1960, during the first ever televised U.S. presidential debate, John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon stood before millions of viewers. Nixon, recovering from illness and visibly uncomfortable, shifted frequently, wiped his brow, and adopted a defensive posture. Kennedy, in contrast, remained poised, standing tall with relaxed shoulders, radiating confidence. Though their words carried weight, it was their physical presence that truly influenced perception. Those who listened to the debate on radio believed Nixon had won, but those who watched on television overwhelmingly favored Kennedy. The lesson was clear: posture shapes perception, and often it speaks louder than words. A Stoic does not let surface-level appearances deceive him. He understands that people often say what they wish to be true rather than what they truly feel. He watches for moments of tension, hesitation, and unconscious withdrawal, recognizing them as signals of internal conflict. By reading these cues, he avoids unnecessary misunderstandings, sees through deception, and navigates the world with greater clarity. True wisdom is not merely in speaking well or thinking deeply. It is in perceiving reality as it truly is. Number 4. Analyze hand and finger movements. In every interaction, our bodies send out silent messages, often more revealing than the words we speak. One of the most insightful ways to tap into these non-verbal cues is by analyzing hand and finger movements. Imagine sitting in a meeting, listening to a colleague express their opinion on a project. While their words are confident, their fingers may nervously drum on the table, or they might absent-mindedly fidget with a pen. These seemingly minor gestures reveal a lot about their true feelings. Perhaps they are uncertain or uneasy, despite their outward confidence. By honing the ability to read hand and finger movements, we can unlock a deeper understanding of people's emotions, intentions, and reactions, which is an invaluable tool for both personal and professional relationships. From a Stoic perspective, the ability to analyze hand and finger movements connects deeply with the teachings of Epictetus, who emphasized the importance of understanding and controlling one's own reactions. Epictetus believed that while we cannot control external events, we have mastery over how we respond to them. This applies to how we interpret body language, especially hand and finger movements. When we observe these movements, we gain insights not just into the other person's state, but also into our own. For example, if someone's fingers are clenched, it might signal anger or frustration. Recognizing such cues allows us to pause and reflect before reacting impulsively, embodying the Stoic practice of thoughtful response. In this way, analyzing body language can be a tool for emotional discipline and connection. Similarly, Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, offers wisdom on how to observe without interference. In the Tao Te Ching, he speaks of the importance of effortless observation and allowing things to unfold naturally. By applying this Taoist principle to the analysis of hand and finger movements, we cultivate a non-judgmental awareness. Rather than jumping to conclusions about what a person's hand movements mean, we can simply observe them with curiosity and openness. Lao Tzu's approach encourages us to understand the rhythm of human behavior without forcefully interpreting or reacting to every gesture. This allows us to grasp the flow of emotions and intentions in a way that feels natural rather than contrived. To effectively analyze hand and finger movements, it is essential to become a keen observer of subtle gestures in your daily life. Begin by paying attention to your own body movements, particularly in moments of stress or excitement. Do your fingers tap or twirl when you are nervous? Are your hands clenched when you're angry or defensive? Understanding your own body's responses helps you become more attuned to the gestures of others. When you interact with others, look for the small movements, the way their fingers might curl when they're anxious, or the way their hands may open up when they feel relaxed and confident. These details are often more accurate indicators of their emotional state than their words. The practice of analyzing hand and finger movements not only deepens our understanding of others, but also strengthens our own emotional intelligence. By integrating the Stoic approach of self-reflection and the Taoist idea of effortless observation, we learn to read and respond to the unspoken language of the body with greater clarity and empathy. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, remember that the way someone's hands move or the way their fingers twitch might tell you more than what they are saying aloud. By refining this skill, you can enhance your interactions and cultivate deeper connections with those around you. Number 5. Decode foot positioning and movement. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This quote by Viktor Frankl aligns closely with Stoic principles, particularly those of Epictetus, who often emphasize the power of personal response over external events. Foot positioning and movement can serve as a reflection of one's internal state, much like any other nonverbal communication. These movements, subtle yet powerful, often reveal an individual's emotions, intentions, and even thoughts, regardless of what they may express verbally. The Stoic approach teaches us to focus on the actions we can control, such as our body language, even when external circumstances are beyond our influence. The feet, in their positioning, often carry a deep, unconscious message about how someone is handling a situation, providing a unique perspective on their mental state. Consider a scenario in a corporate setting. A manager is addressing an underperforming team member about a missed deadline. As the manager speaks, they notice the employee's feet shifting back and forth under the table, their posture slouched as they look down. On the surface, the employee might verbally agree to improve, but their body language reveals a different story. The movement of their feet, shifting away from the manager, signals discomfort, reluctance, and perhaps a desire to avoid confrontation or responsibility. In this moment, the manager realizes that the words spoken by the employee are only part of the story. Through careful observation, the manager recognizes the deeper emotional response, the fear, the shame, and the avoidance of accountability. This understanding can then be used to guide the conversation, focusing not only on what was said, but also on what was unsaid. In this way, decoding foot positioning can reveal valuable insights into a person's true feelings, even when they might be trying to mask them. Epictetus, in his discourses, teaches that we should not be swayed by external appearances, but instead focus on our own internal responses. Foot movements, for instance, can often reflect someone's level of engagement, nervousness, or even resistance. When faced with challenging situations, Stoicism encourages us to remain grounded, both mentally and physically. If someone's feet are firmly planted, they may be more confident or resolute in their stance. On the other hand, shifting feet might signal indecision or avoidance. By paying attention to these subtle cues, we can gauge the emotional temperature of a situation, allowing us to respond appropriately rather than react impulsively. Epictetus would advise that we align our actions with wisdom, not just with outward appearances, but with a deeper understanding of the body's language. In line with the teachings of Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, foot positioning can also be viewed as a reflection of one's connection to the world around them. Lao Tzu emphasizes the importance of remaining rooted, like a tree with deep roots, in order to flow with life's natural rhythm. Foot positioning plays an important role in this concept, as our feet represent our connection to the earth, the foundation upon which we stand. If we are constantly shifting or moving, it may suggest a lack of grounding, an inability to be present, or an unwillingness to face reality. By becoming aware of our own foot movements and their potential meanings, we can better align ourselves with a calm and centered perspective, one that allows us to accept and navigate life's changes with grace and ease. The practice of decoding foot positioning and movement thus becomes a tool for both self-awareness and empathy in our interactions with others. By observing these small but telling details, we can gain a deeper understanding of what lies beneath the surface of words and actions. Whether we are in a high-stakes meeting, comforting a friend, or simply navigating our own internal world, the position and movement of our feet can reveal much about our true state of mind. Just as Stoic philosophy teaches us to examine our responses and to change what we can control, so too can we use the language of the body, including foot movements, to guide our thoughts and actions toward greater wisdom and understanding. Number 6. Listen to the tone and pace of speech. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This powerful Stoic quote by Marcus Aurelius invites us to view obstacles not as something to avoid, but as opportunities for growth and understanding. In a world that is often dominated by noise and distraction, paying attention to the tone and pace of speech can serve as an essential tool for navigating both external challenges and our internal responses. Speech is not just about the words being spoken. It is about the rhythm, the intonation, and the pauses that convey deeper meanings. By focusing on these aspects of communication, we can better understand the emotions, intentions, and hidden messages behind what is said, which allows us to respond with greater clarity and wisdom. In many ways, the tone and pace of speech serve as reflections of our mental and emotional states. Stoicism encourages us to reflect before responding, particularly when faced with challenges. When we pause and listen intently to the nuances of a person's voice, we can discern whether their words are coming from a place of anger, frustration, calm, or confidence. A rushed, high-pitched tone may indicate anxiety or excitement, while a slow, deliberate pace could signify careful thought or uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius's reminder that what stands in the way becomes the way speaks to the importance of using every interaction, especially those fraught with tension, as an opportunity to hone our understanding of human behavior. By listening more closely, we not only gain insight into the other person's perspective, but also learn to master our own responses, aligning them with wisdom rather than impulsivity. For instance, imagine a scenario in a tense workplace environment. A team leader, faced with a looming deadline and a group of stressed-out employees, holds a meeting to address the challenges. One employee, in particular, seems reluctant to speak up. Their voice is soft, almost wavering, and their words come slowly, with long pauses in between. As the meeting progresses, their tone grows more confident, and the pace of their speech picks up, signaling that they are beginning to feel more comfortable and engaged in the conversation. The team leader, noticing these shifts in tone and pace, realizes that the employee has deeper concerns that have yet to be voiced. By actively listening and noting the changes in the rhythm of speech, the leader can provide the support needed to help the employee express their thoughts more openly, ultimately leading to a more productive and understanding discussion. This attentiveness, rooted in the Stoic idea of turning obstacles into opportunities, transforms a potentially difficult interaction into one of growth and connection. Epictetus often spoke about the importance of not being swept away by the emotional currents of a conversation. Listening to the tone and pace of speech can serve as a reminder to ground ourselves in the present moment, preventing us from reacting rashly. By observing the cadence of someone's voice, we can gauge their emotional state and choose the best course of action. If someone's voice trembles with fear, it may be wise to approach them with compassion and patience rather than judgment. On the other hand, if the tone is firm and assertive, it may indicate a desire for respect or recognition. In all cases, the Stoic practice of pausing before reacting allows us to align our response with what is most beneficial for the situation, whether that is providing comfort, giving space, or offering guidance. The ability to listen to the tone and pace of speech is more than just a communication skill. It is a practice of mindfulness that allows us to truly understand the emotions and thoughts of others. By embracing this technique, we move beyond the surface of words and tap into the underlying currents that shape every conversation. In doing so, we become more adept at responding not out of impulse, but with thoughtfulness and empathy. As Marcus Aurelius teaches, the obstacles in communication, whether they are emotional tensions or misunderstandings, become opportunities for deeper connection and growth when approached with calm and intentionality. Number 7. Notice breathing patterns. Breathing patterns are often overlooked in the complex world of non-verbal communication, yet they offer valuable insights into a person's emotional state and thought process. By noticing subtle changes in a person's breath, we can better understand their mental and emotional responses in real time. Breathing is an involuntary process that reflects both physical and emotional states, and by tuning into these patterns, we gain access to unspoken truths about how someone is feeling. In high-pressure or emotionally charged situations, these patterns can become even more pronounced, offering a clearer window into a person's internal world, making it an essential tool for reading people effectively. Consider a situation in a meeting where a colleague is presenting a new project proposal. At first, they speak calmly, with even breaths, but as they delve into a section discussing a potential challenge, you notice their breathing becomes shallow and rapid. This change in breathing is a clear indicator of stress or discomfort, suggesting that the colleague may feel uncertain or anxious about the subject matter, even if they appear composed on the surface. By recognizing this shift, you understand that their confidence in the proposal may be wavering. This awareness allows you to approach the conversation with empathy, offering support or asking follow-up questions that can ease their tension. Recognizing breathing patterns is an invaluable tool for reading people's minds, especially in situations where their verbal cues may not fully reflect their inner state. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us in his letters that we must be aware of the natural fluctuations in our emotions and not be swept away by them. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, he writes, highlighting the importance of observing ourselves and others without being overwhelmed by the rush of feelings. When we notice changes in breathing patterns, we are essentially observing the body's reaction to an emotional shift. Instead of reacting impulsively, Seneca would advise that we take a step back and interpret these signs with rationality and composure. By training ourselves to notice breathing patterns, we avoid jumping to conclusions and instead can gain a more grounded and thoughtful understanding of what is happening emotionally with someone. To effectively read breathing patterns, it's important to cultivate a mindset of awareness and patience. Start by paying attention to your own breath in moments of stress or anxiety, noticing how your breath becomes shallow or erratic. This awareness will help you recognize similar patterns in others. When interacting with someone, observe how their breathing shifts during moments of tension, excitement, or uncertainty. You may notice subtle changes, such as a deep, slow breath signaling relaxation, or a quickened breath indicating agitation. By becoming attuned to these shifts, you'll develop a more nuanced understanding of their emotional landscape even before they verbally express it. This insight allows you to respond with greater empathy, addressing their emotional needs before the conversation becomes more strained. By practicing the art of noticing breathing patterns, you build an ability to connect with others on a deeper level, understanding their unspoken feelings and reactions. Whether in professional settings, social interactions, or intimate relationships, this skill enables you to better gauge the emotional climate and adjust your approach accordingly. Seneca's wisdom in maintaining control over one's emotions reminds us that, by recognizing the breathing patterns of others, we can remain composed and respond with clarity, offering support, understanding, or guidance when needed. This heightened awareness of nonverbal cues enhances not only our ability to read others' minds, but also cultivates deeper, more authentic relationships. Number 8. Consider context and clusters of behavior. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This quote by Epictetus speaks directly to the Stoic idea that true mastery comes from recognizing and responding only to what we can control. Our ability to read others' behavior depends on our awareness of their context and the clusters of actions they exhibit. Just as we must focus on our own internal responses rather than external circumstances, we should also consider how the surrounding environment and a person's various behaviors interact, giving us a fuller picture of their emotional and mental state. To understand someone's motivations and reactions, we must move beyond individual gestures or words and focus on the broader context in which these behaviors occur. In a corporate meeting, a manager notices that an employee is hunched over their laptop, tapping their pen repeatedly against the desk and frequently looking at the clock. Alone, these behaviors might seem inconsequential or unrelated. However, considering the context of the meeting, a critical discussion about a major project deadline, the manager begins to interpret the cluster of behaviors differently. The tapping pen, which could simply be a nervous habit, now seems to indicate frustration or impatience with the progress of the discussion. The employee's frequent glance at the clock suggests they are anxious about time running out or the importance of the decisions being made. By observing these clusters of behaviors and understanding the context in which they occur, the manager can interpret the employee's feelings more accurately, recognizing their underlying concerns and possibly addressing them before they escalate. Epictetus believed that the mind's true freedom is found in the practice of discernment, discerning what we can control and responding accordingly. In understanding others, this discernment involves recognizing how behaviors relate to the broader situation. Just as we must choose our responses to challenges, so too must we assess behaviors in context. A person may appear disinterested during a conversation, but without understanding the circumstances, such as whether they are feeling unwell or distracted by a personal issue, we may misinterpret their body language. By considering the full context, we gain the ability to respond more empathetically, acknowledging the situation before passing judgment or reacting hastily. This practice of patience and awareness leads to a deeper understanding of others, offering more meaningful connections and solutions to conflicts. Lao Tzu, in his Tao Te Ching, speaks to the importance of seeing things as they are, not just as they appear at first glance. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, he teaches, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all things. This idea applies directly to reading behaviors. Individual actions cannot be fully understood in isolation. The full picture emerges only when we see the relationship between a person's environment, their state of mind, and the cluster of their behaviors. If we take the time to step back and observe multiple behaviors within the given context, we become attuned to the deeper emotional currents at play. This awareness allows us to respond more wisely, guiding our actions toward greater harmony. By considering both the context and clusters of behavior, we are equipped with a more holistic understanding of those around us. Rather than rushing to judgment based on a single gesture or comment, we allow ourselves the space to interpret a situation with clarity and empathy. Just as Epictetus reminds us to focus on what we can control, we take control of our understanding of others by considering the full picture. This approach allows us to navigate interactions with wisdom, turning every opportunity into a chance for growth, both for ourselves and those we engage with. Understanding the context and clusters of behavior helps us avoid misunderstanding and fosters deeper, more meaningful communication. Now that you have these 8 practical tips to read people's minds and accurately interpret body language and gestures, You're equipped with powerful tools to navigate any situation with confidence and clarity. By observing eye movements, paying attention to microexpressions, and noticing changes in posture, you can unlock a deeper understanding of the people around you. Remember, the key is to focus not only on what's being said, but also on how it's being said through non-verbal cues. As you begin applying these strategies, you'll notice how much easier it becomes to connect with others, diffuse tense situations, and respond with empathy and insight. Your ability to read between the lines will set you apart in personal, professional, and even social environments. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content on mastering the art of communication. Share your experiences in the comments. Let us know how reading body language has helped you in your life. And if there's a specific tip you'd like to dive deeper into, let us know. Thanks for watching, and remember, once you can read the unspoken, you'll always have the upper hand in connecting and understanding others.